The party is seriously over in Berlin. The pubs and clubs are shut, and when young people still kept gathering in parks for so-called corona parties, one supermarket owner took to Facebook, warning them that he would no longer sell them alcohol and snacks. The Fridays for Future generation took a bit longer to recognize how serious the situation is. There's no more partying, but when I go out for a run, for instance, young people are still less likely to keep the 1.5-meter minimum distance.
Like most people around the world, South Koreans have reacted to this pandemic in different ways. Last weekend, many young people came here to Seoul's Hongdae, an entertainment and shopping district popular with young people. They were harshly criticized online for gathering at nightclubs and bars. Other young people I met, though, were volunteering to see that those less fortunate got some takeout meals and were better protected from the virus.
I am in Kibra slums, where in the race to contain the spread of coronavirus, it is these young men and women who are leading from the front line. These hand washing stations are managed by young men and women who are also offering hygiene classes to the young and the old, and also encouraging them to socially distance. However, that is one of the biggest challenges here.
Here in the US, one of the biggest challenges for the government is to convince the American public to take the coronavirus seriously. But at least 15 stay-at-home orders are issued. There are still many people in the parks and on the streets. And on social media, the hashtag Boomer Remover is dividing the generations. Particularly young people show little empathy for the elderly, who are considered at higher risk.
Here in France, many young people at first didn't seem to take the lockdown very seriously. One group even had a barbecue in northern France and had to pay a fine of 1,600 euros. But times seem to have changed. Young people now organize online aperitifs, and one Facebook group with 640,000 members even throws a 10-minute online party each day. But it's not just about having fun. There's a website that brings together people working at hospitals like this one with those who want to help them with their childcare or grocery shopping. More than half of the 67,000 volunteers are in their teens and 20s.
Police in Brussels have stepped up efforts in order to stop particularly groups of young people from meeting up in parks like this one. A recent study has shown that 44%, almost half, of 18 to 21-year-olds are not respecting the rules of social distancing. But there's positive news as well. Some 600 people, many of them students, have signed up on a list of volunteers in order to support hospitals and elderly people's homes. Some 50 institutions have requested that help and are now looking forward to receiving it from recent graduates and students.
Here in Colombia, many young people are using their newly gained spare time to assist those in need. In the country's major cities, private initiatives are popping up that are calling on young and healthy people to go shopping for the elderly. And many are volunteering, trying to keep those most at risk safe by getting their groceries, their drugs, their personal hygiene products and delivering them to their doorstep without any kind of personal contact, allowing those most vulnerable to stay at home and themselves to feel a little less helpless in these times.
Some have gotten creative to raise awareness for the pandemic. For example, there have been online poetry readings against corona. One club in St. Petersburg has been giving people a special service at the door and measuring their temperature. But the days of offline events are numbered in Russia. Theatres and cinemas across the country have closed, and nightclubs are supposed to close now too.
While the government is taking drastic measures to contain the spread of the virus, young people are finding more creative ways to raise awareness and also fight misinformation. For example, through educative videos in local languages and also comedy skits on social media.
The young especially have shifted to online spaces both for work and leisure. Apart from that, students of some private schools are also trying to continue with their classes using apps and online softwares. There are some who are also trying to help others in this time of crisis. Since movement is restricted during a lockdown, at some local community levels, young people are using social media to coordinate efforts to ensure that the elderly people of their communities continue getting their essential supplies.
Schools across the UK, whether expensive private schools or regular state schools, are now offering online classes, some via video conference. For me, that means I've now got 3 teenagers at home, all trying and sometimes struggling to stay on top of their schoolwork. And one of my sons recently said to me, "Mama, I never thought I'd say this, but I miss school."